I'm speaking to you from Dubai right now, and this slide shows exactly what I'm talking about. On the left side, you see what social media wants you to believe: dangerous TO travel in massive red warning text. On the right side, you see the ground truth: safe and operating normally in bright green. This isn't just about Dubai. This is about how information travels in our hyper-connected world. While my social media feeds are flooded with fear-based content claiming it's unsafe to be here, I'm sitting in Dubai watching normal life continue, flights operating, and people going about their daily business. The gap between what this slide shows, social media fear versus ground truth reality, reveals something profound about modern information markets. Today we're using Dubai as a case study in Austrian economics, risk assessment, and the psychology of algorithmic fear amplification. This slide breaks down what actually happened versus what social media reported. Look at the facts section. You see coordinated airspace management, international aviation authorities, and professional military oversight. These are standard aviation safety protocols used globally. But notice the social media narrative section. It shows simplified fear narratives, zero context, and engagement over accuracy. The same technical aviation procedure got filtered through platforms designed for viral content, not accurate reporting. The timeline visualization shows how a routine aviation safety measure became a social media crisis through algorithmic amplification. When platforms reward dramatic content over accurate content, complex technical procedures become fear stories optimized for clicks rather than truth. This live status update shows what's actually happening right now. Emirates, operating normally. Flydubai, maintaining schedules. International carriers, full service. These aren't opinions or social media posts. These are operational facts from aviation authorities. The slide shows the systematic resumption process: international air traffic control coordination, military clearance for civilian routes, and standard safety protocols. This is how aviation safety actually works when you remove the social media noise. But notice the bottom section showing social media lag, outdated information, emergency alerts that are no longer current, and artificial risk premiums created by delayed or inaccurate reporting. The gap between aviation reality and social media perception creates phantom risks that don't exist on the ground. Walking through Dubai right now, this slide captures what you won't see in viral social media posts. Hotels occupied, restaurants serving customers, business meetings proceeding, residents maintaining normal routines. This is the ground reality that doesn't generate engagement on social platforms. The local perspective section shows how people who actually live here manage risk through official channel monitoring, government communications, and practical adjustments when necessary. No panic, no dramatic reactions, just measured professional risk management. The contrast is stark. International social media suggests crisis mode, while local measured response continues normally. The algorithm doesn't reward everything is functioning professionally, so that story doesn't spread, creating an artificial information gap between perception and reality. This slide explains something most people don't understand. Military control of airspace enhances safety. It doesn't create danger. Look at the professional aspects: coordinated flight paths, enhanced safety monitoring, international aviation communication, and civilian flight protection. This is standard protocol used worldwide during major events or when airspace optimization is required. It's aviation safety working exactly as designed. Professional military aviation control coordinating with civilian authorities to maintain the safest possible flying environment. But the misperception section shows how social media interprets this: militarization and dangerous conditions, because algorithmic content doesn't include context about how aviation safety systems actually function. Fear-based interpretation gets more engagement than technical explanations. This slide reveals the core issue. Social media algorithms optimize for engagement, and fear content generates significantly higher engagement than balanced reporting. You see the equation clearly. Fear content equals high engagement. Dramatic beats balanced reporting. Clicks matter more than accuracy. From an Austrian economics perspective, this represents market distortion. The artificial information value created by algorithmic amplification corrupts the price signals of information. Platform incentives reward engagement over truth, creating systematic information market failure. The bottom shows the result: Algorithm fear amplification versus ground truth. When your information diet is controlled by engagement algorithms rather than accuracy metrics, your risk perception becomes distorted regardless of actual conditions on the ground. This slide shows the difference between social media's binary thinking and real risk management. Professional risk assessment involves official source monitoring, government communication, measured travel adjustments, and maintaining normal activities with appropriate precautions. People who live here understand regional context, infrastructure resilience, and actual risk factors better than distant social media observers. Their behavior reflects measured analysis rather than algorithmic amplification. They're staying informed without being paralyzed by fear-based content. The contrast between local knowledge and viral speculation illustrates a key Austrian insight. Distributed knowledge from people with skin in the game provides better information than centralized algorithmic amplification of dramatic content. This slide shows the institutions with actual skin in the game. Hotels maintaining occupancy, airlines operating full schedules, international businesses proceeding with normal operations, economic activity continuing. These aren't social media opinions, they're market-based risk assessments. Insurance companies haven't adjusted premiums. Corporations haven't evacuated staff. Airlines continue operations after safety assessments. These institutions would react immediately to genuine safety risks because they have financial consequences for getting risk assessment wrong. The bottom line reads, institutional confidence versus social media fear, and the markets are pricing safety differently than social algorithms. When institutions with billions at stake continue normal operations, that's a more reliable risk signal than viral content optimized for engagement. This slide details something social media doesn't understand: the UAE's infrastructure resilience. Advanced air defense systems, professional military-civilian coordination, robust communication networks, and crisis management protocols developed over decades. This infrastructure exists precisely to maintain normal operations during challenging periods. The system is working as designed, managing complex situations while preserving civilian safety and economic continuity. These aren't emergency measures, they're standard operating procedures. Social media focuses on isolated incidents without context about the broader systems that maintain stability. The gap between systemic resilience and social media chaos narrative shows why ground truth matters more than algorithmic amplification. This slide illustrates the information gradient. Accuracy decreases with distance from actual events, while dramatic amplification increases. International media relies on social media sources rather than ground reporting, while local media has access to official channels and regional context. The Austrian insight is crucial here. Central planning of information by distant media lacks the distributed local knowledge necessary for accurate assessment. The farther you get from actual events, the more the signal gets corrupted by noise optimized for engagement rather than truth. This creates the coverage gap you see on the slide. International coverage amplifies drama, while local coverage provides measured assessment. The quality of information degrades with distance from reality, especially when filtered through engagement-optimized algorithms. This slide compares actual traveler experiences with viral social media reports. Normal airport operations, standard security procedures, regular tourist activities, business continuity. These are the first-hand accounts from people actually engaging with the situation. The contrast with viral social media posts is stark. Exceptional incidents get amplified as if they represent widespread conditions, while normal operations get ignored because they don't generate engagement. This creates artificial risk perception that doesn't align with empirical evidence. The data gap between reported experience and actual experience shows how social platforms systematically distort risk assessment. When dramatic outliers get algorithmic amplification while normal conditions get suppressed, perception becomes disconnected from reality. This slide explains why Dubai's risk management is sophisticated. Its entire economic model depends on international confidence. As a major international hub, maintaining safety and operational continuity isn't just policy, it's economic necessity. The strategic positioning elements show advanced infrastructure, professional regional dynamics management, and systems designed specifically to maintain normal operations during complex situations. This is an accident. It's the foundation of Dubai's economic model. Social media lacks this context. It doesn't understand that Dubai's strategic necessity creates strong incentives for competent crisis management. The economic model requires professional risk management, which explains why ground reality differs from social media chaos narratives. This slide shows two completely different approaches to processing information about the same situation. Professional risk assessment considers event probability, impact severity, mitigation systems, alternative options, and cost-benefit analysis. Social media assessment considers emotional impact of content, viral potential of stories, engagement metrics, and algorithmic amplification. These represent fundamentally different information processing systems that lead to dramatically different conclusions about identical situations. The framework comparison shows why the same events produce opposite risk assessments: rational analysis versus emotional algorithms. When your information source is optimized for engagement rather than accuracy, your risk perception becomes systematically distorted. This slide applies Austrian economics to information markets. Social media has created artificial markets where dramatic content has higher perceived value than accurate content. Engagement metrics matter more than truth, and algorithmic amplification replaces human judgment. This systematic distortion makes safe situations appear dangerous and dangerous situations appear either catastrophic or non-existent, depending on viral dynamics rather than actual conditions. It's central planning of information flow by algorithms rather than free market discovery of truth. The Austrian framework shows this represents information market failure. Algorithms suppress distributed knowledge in favor of engagement optimization. When information markets fail, risk perception becomes disconnected from reality, leading to systematic misallocation of attention and resources. Based on ground truth observation, official source monitoring, and professional risk assessment frameworks, this slide shows my conclusion: Dubai remains safe for travel. The gap between social media fear and actual conditions represents information market failure, not genuine safety concerns. The subscribe section emphasizes what Premium Logic Lab provides: ground truth reporting over algorithmic amplification, rational analysis over fear-based content, signal over noise in our hyper-connected world. This is what Austrian economics teaches us about information markets. My recommendation is clear: make decisions based on official sources, professional risk assessment, and ground truth rather than social media optimization for engagement. The choice between fear-based information consumption and rational risk assessment determines not just individual decisions, but how society responds to complex challenges. Which information sources do you trust for important decisions: social media algorithms or ground truth reporting? Subscribe for analysis that separates signal from noise.